Teleislas News managed to obtain a witness testimony who was able to observe how the aircraft drove out of control until it collided.
As usual, Jose Hernandez Henao, a mechanic by profession, was at his job in front of the place where the plane crash happened. Fortunately, he was able to react in time, but in his account, he said that there were moments of anguish, panic, and fear after seeing how aircraft HK 5225 drove out of control towards where his co-workers were sitting, as it was customary to take work breaks and refresh themselves on the wall facing the runway of the Gustavo Rojas Pinilla Airport.
Como de película, porque nadie esperaba eso.
It was like something out of a movie. Nobody expected that. The guys were sitting there in front. My co-workers, I was here in front and I saw that the plane coming. And I thought it was going to park there. When I looked, it drove into the wall. When I approached the scene, I saw that everyone got out unharmed. And I asked the pilot what had happened, and he told me that the plane had stalled.
He was speechless when he saw how the ambulance plane HK 5225 collided with the protective wall of the airport.
I was left with my mouth open, first of all, because I didn't think it would do something like that. We sit there every day to get some fresh air.
This witness gave thanks to God because he and all those who travel this road were safe from being victims of a major accident.
As a loud rumbling sound was heard in the surrounding areas, witnesses recount the anguishing moments and the fright that the accident caused them.
Omar Betancourt and William Hernandez are two witnesses who were present in the sector border in the area where the aircraft crashed against the wall that divides the airport runway with the neighborhood located around the airfield. They describe it as a loud roar.
It was 3:20 p.m. was the time I was sitting here in the mini market, and I heard a noise out of the ordinary. I mean, it's not from the airplanes, it's not common. And when I came out, because I felt the impact that originated from that hit, I saw the tip of the plane outside and I ran to see if anyone was hurt. But the crew got out of the plane. Thank God nothing happened to them. Of course, I am still frightened.
William Hernandez agrees with what was reported because the crash was here in even more distant areas.
It was a very hard crash, so the plane lost direction and flew into the wall, and since the road is right here, people got scared and everything. It was such a hard impact that it was heard close to the park of Guinea Hen, and the people ran all at once to the point where the accident happened. And thank God it didn't breach the wall, because if it had breached the wall, there could have been a greater tragedy with the cars and motorcycles that passed by this point, which is a very busy road.
According to witnesses, the accident could have been more serious and injured bystanders and drivers if the wall had been breached.
Civil Aeronautics issued a communique on the events that happened this afternoon on the landing runway of the Gustavo Rojas Pinilla International Airport.
The Civil Aeronautics, through a communique, makes a statement on the events that occurred on the runway of the Gustavo Rojas Pinilla International Airport. The document states, open quotation marks, the Civil Aeronautics is pleased to inform that today at 3:13 p.m., the aircraft type Merlin SW4 registration HK 5225 ambulance, which was taxiing on all the runway of San Andres Island bound for Medellin, left the runway before takeoff, crossing the safety zone and impacting against the perimeter wall of the airport. The 6 occupants of the aircraft were unharmed, and the damage to the aircraft is being assessed. The Civil Aeronautics also informed that work is being done to remove the aircraft from the impact zone in order to allow the resumption of operation at the San Andres Airport, which have been suspended as a consequence of the incident.
And after this ambulance plane crashed against the perimeter wall of the Gustavo Rojas Pinilla Airport, this news team went to the departmental hospital to know the health condition of the crew members.
There were a total of 6 occupants in the ambulance plane with registration numbers HK5225, which was on the way to the city of Medellin with a patient. The scientific assistant manager of the hospital tells us that the patient was returned to the medical center and was treated immediately.
The hospital will receive the patient that was being transported in the ambulance plane. She is not in no condition of emergency or nothing, but we offer her the service from psychology to guarantee that she won't be anxious and are not related to the accident. By the way, the rest of people that was in the ambulance plane, like the pilot and the health people, they did not reach to the hospital because they was attended direct in the airport.
The scientific assistant manager states that the patient who have been transferred is currently stable.
And reliable sources inside Nueva EPS in charge of the patient's referral indicated to Teleislas News that their aeromedical transfer was rescheduled for tomorrow to the city of Medellin.
Teleislas News managed to establish that the patient is affiliated to Nueva EPS, the entity in charge of the referral and aeromedical transfer of the patient of approximately 74 years of age. Regarding the incident, the health promoting entity has not issued an official statement. However, Teleislas News was able to establish through reliable sources within the entity that the patient remains in San Andres with stable clinical condition with management of comorbidities by the respective specialist. Regarding her transfer, it was confirmed to Teleislas News that another aircraft has already been arranged with the provider to transfer her to Medellin in the morning hours, where she will receive medical attention at the IPS Universitaria de Antioquia, which, according to the information provided to this news agency, has already issued its acceptance. The health promoting agency source denied versions about delays in the attention and clarified that the difficulties in the air transfer are limited to those caused today by the damage to the aircraft when it was taxiing and went off the runway with no injured people. Finally, the entity pointed out that the patient was returned to the departmental hospital where she was being managed by internal medicine.
And with distress and anxiety, the daughter of the woman who was to be taken by ambulance plane this afternoon reported moments of desperation upon hearing what happened.
I was told by some people that the plane fell, and others that it was on the runway. Others told me that my mom was dead, that if it was true that my mom was dead. Today has really been a day.
Suheba Akerdofis is one of the daughters of the patient who was on the ambulance plane to be sent to the city of Medellin, where she would be attended by the health professional due to her critical health condition.
Around 3 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I started receiving messages that the plane my mom was on had crashed. However, I didn't know that my mom was on the plane because I hadn't talked to my sister Katia or my brother Sydney about the plane crash.
The islander, in the midst of despair, is grateful that the accident was not a major and took the opportunity to call on the health promoter Nueva EPS to manage as soon as possible the referral of her mother.
Actually, it is the first situation that we have really had to live through for an outpatient referral. The other times my mom got sick, we paid for everything, but now she needs oxygen and she can't go on a commercial plane. Her health situation got complicated being that all this time she was in San Andres. My mom lives here with a little high blood sugar, but thank God they were able to control it. But now, because of the infection of the ulcer that my mom has, it is making a deep hole in her body.
Anxiety and restlessness take over more and more of this woman who begs for a quick solution that allows the remission of her dear mother.
And let's see the situation at the airport about after all what happened after this accident this evening.
At the Gustavo Rojas Pinilla International Airport, currently there are delays of national and international flights, such as those entering or leaving the archipelago of San Andres. At this time, we have not been allowed to have access to the place, much less maintain contact with travelers who are stuck on the second floor of the airport. The panorama presented as follows. All travelers arrive at the place unaware of the delays and learn of this inside the airport through its airline. We had the opportunity to maintain contact with one of the travelers who expressed her dissatisfaction.
I am at the airport and there is news that there is a delay with my airline. I think it was because of the ambulance plane that crashed. Now it affects me because I am traveling with a minor and I want to get to the destination where I am going as early as possible.
All travelers who are delayed are on the second floor of the international airport, to which we have been denied access. It is recalled that these delays are due to incidents that occurred in the afternoon where an ambulance plane ended impacting on one of the walls of the airport. It is unknown until what time will be restored flights in and out of the airport of San Andres.
And in other news, public calamity was declared due to drought season in the island.
Yesterday, in the Second Departmental Council of Disaster Risk Management, held in the auditorium of the Departmental Governor's Office, the decision was made to declare a public calamity situation after the effects that may occur due to the drought season. With this, the departmental government hopes to guarantee the supply of drinking water to the community that could be affected by the scarcity in these resources in the department.
The decision was taken to declare a public calamity due to the coming drought season. This is in order to join institutional efforts to meet the need for water to mitigate the shortage of drinking water that occurs in sectors that are not connected to the aqueduct network.
Teleislas News provides context. Here we will talk about the communities suffering from drinking water for years.
Blockades in different sectors of the island have been evident for several years during drought seasons. The community has demanded the government to solve the lack of water. These blockades are lifted every time the authorities arrive at the sectors with the distribution of water by means of water trucks. But the community on several occasions has demanded definitive solution because this is a problem that seems to have no end.
Well, when we don't got no water, we in a big problem. Because which part we turn head to get water? Maybe no one again you have got a friend me sell you 2 buckets of water out of what them got, and when things they come down, them have to hold on for what them got because I think things they get tighter. So them have to hold on for what them got too. And we not got no, you not got no outlet where we can get water. No way no there. Because the well them how we used to look water about them, the well don't dry up long time. Them don't got no water now like enough with the young days. Them don't got no water now. Here, ancient days, the water don't come here. We could have got take with pan and go to well go bring water. But which part you going? No way no there for you go.
At present, the community's concern is not having a guaranteed supply of this liquid, especially in times of drought, for this is the time when they suffer the most.
In this time I come in now, I see the community bad because when the water it come all 3 months they take without come. Sometimes in the principal part, the hotels them they receive water every day, and the community like Barrick Cove, anyhow, hill anyhow, where the water coming from, then they get a service. So I want to know the government or whosoever over earlier they have to come to one conclusion to see how they want to fix this situation with the people them in this dry weather we coming, because it coming very hard.
Finally, it should be noted that according to the community's arguments, the supply of drinking water by the company in charge of distribution is not sufficient.
And the news has analysis. We share with you the position of 3 members of the Risk Management Council who are key to the decision to declare a public calamity due to the drought season.
The declaration of public calamity for the director of Coralina is important because actions must be taken to prevent the overexploitation of the aquifer, highlighting that it is highly contaminated.
We have to be careful with our resources. This is the water is very important for us. We can't every year declare calamity for this a public calamity regarding water. and because we have dry weather, we have no. If we work towards the right management of this resource of the water in San Andres and Providence, we won't have to call this the clearing calamity.
Among the arguments is also that the authorities do not have enough vehicles to cover the demand that exists in the department in terms of water supply in times of drought.
2022 going to be very dry. We're going to have less rain, less water, and we're going to suffer not because the water that we consume, but the land, the earth going to be drier, and we're going to have people without drinking water, and the ground going to be dry, and that going to generate forestal fires. So with the clear calamity, that we could look the way to get water to the people them.
The Disaster Risk Management Unit will take actions to mitigate the issues in this area that may occur in the archipelago.
Doing all the effort to carry the service to the people, to give you all a good service, and you could get the water in your home.
And now we continue with Millicent O'Neill and all the news of Providence and Santa Catalina.
Good evening to all our viewers. This is the most relevant information from Old Providence and Catalina. Around midday in Old Town, a blockade was set up on the main road. Citizens were demanding equal rights.
Members of the community in Old Town blocked the main street of the section to express their disagreement with the reconstruction process. According to one of them, many have had their second floor rebuilt, but theirs is being denied.
I got my house a small house, second floor, traditional, cultural house of Providence. When the gas are typical Providence in 96. I got them so they can't build up my little small house class. I still build up one house, but she had enough of Lloyd, the black Susanna, the Papier Cali, the big black and put on a paper second floor. So one very different. The president igual derechos, igual that derechos.
Wheeler Jackson says that in his aunt's case, they keep removing her feed number.
Example, this house where they start right here. Nobody no live in it. This one here, so the longest day now, somebody never stay in it or the day before the hurricane. Because the person gone out their house. And they know how to build it back. My brother got a house in Freetown. They said they know how to build the second floor. And other houses right here, Old Town, where then they build back the plaque and everything, and they put on second floor for them. Why they can't build back the Mount.
After the demonstration that stopped the traffic for approximately 1 hour, the police and the armed forces removed the tires that were set on fire in the main street.
And the delegate controller for citizen participation has been in the municipality for 2 days. Yesterday, the delegate verified the state of the works being executed in health matters and visited the field hospital. Work tables were held regarding the construction of the airport and the works in the housing sector. Today, the topics dealt with at the tables were public utilities, education, and tourism. Tomorrow, she will be meeting with the community to return to the topic of health, and at 9:30 a.m. at the Morgan. On the other hand, yesterday, a series of meetings held by Coralina and the National University concluded. These were carried out with the community to socialize a project that seeks to formulate protocols for the restoration of coastal ecosystems.
Coralina and the National University are designing a protocol for the restoration of coastal ecosystem that will define the path to follow in the case of an upcoming external event such as a hurricane.
We're working on mangroves, grasslands, and coral reefs, and on what to do before, during, and after an external event such as hurricanes. We are also collecting lessons learned and suggestions from different groups. That is why today we are inviting fishermen, the community, divers, officials of institutions, those who are working on restoration projects to exchange experiences.
The protocol will serve to continue the implementation of recovery actions even during this process in which the archipelago is currently undergoing.
So in a restoration process, it's very important to invite community and show them how science or through academic, how we can build up components and actions and activity to them to get involved with whatsoever causing about rebuild or recover all these ecosystems, all the work that we could develop with them.
With this, the protocol not only has an academic and scientific backing, but the community also participates in its formulation.
And this is all the information we have for tonight for this section of Old Providence and Catalina. You guys can continue